Alright, back to work on the old Willys Jeep here. Went ahead and got the PCV system all hooked up. Here's the line right here. I got it tapped into the base of the carburetor for a vacuum source, and kind of did my own little contraption here. There I have an inline PCV valve, and just put all the little fittings on it. And I mean, it's not factory, but this was a hell of a lot cheaper than factory. An original PCV valve and the hard line that I believe goes into the intake. I'm looking anywhere around 70 to 80 bucks. That's just, you know, of course, luckily the owner of this Jeep doesn't care about having every little piece factory original. He just wants everything to work like it's supposed to. So this little PCV system I fabbed up, I got less than 20 bucks in that. Plus I got the breather tube here tied into the air breather, and so that should help keep it a little bit sanitary under here from all the oil blowing out. Now after getting all this hooked up, I went ahead and ran it for a little bit, and I noticed that it wasn't running quite as good as it was, because now it's pulling vacuum rather than being blocked off. So I had to readjust the carburetor a little bit and got it running really good. But then after about 10 minutes or so, oil was just running out of the back of the oil pan. So decided to go ahead and pull that off. Now my wife's cousin's master mechanic that he had work on this, he had him replace the oil pan gasket 3 times, and it still leaked. Now you'd figure after 3 times you'd figure out what the hell the problem is. Now either this guy is really clever and knew about the PCV system and just didn't want to say nothing, because that would have been a cheap fix, or just take my, you know, the guy's advice or word on, you know, I don't know what's wrong with it, go ahead and replace everything. So, you know, he probably made the #1 mistake. When it comes to having somebody work on your car, you know, you tell them that you don't know anything about it, you're not mechanically inclined, you don't know how to fix what does what. So basically his mechanic guy took advantage of him and replaced a lot of stuff that, you know, probably needed to be replaced, but wasn't necessarily fixing the problem. So hopefully I found the problem. I went ahead and inspected the oil pan. I went ahead and got it all cleaned up, shot a little paint on it. Now the one thing I noticed, each one of these bolt holes was a little high, and that's usually from just being tightened up several times a little too tight, and it'll raise these holes up a little bit. So the pan was a little warped all the way around. Took a hammer and a dolly, and I just hammered these down a little bit, and then I basically block sanded this top surface here. I took some black spray paint and I painted this perimeter, and then I took a large air file that was about from here to here. I mean, it was pretty good size, the big one, and I basically block sanded this whole surface basically, and until I had a nice even bare metal surface all the way around. So I know the oil pan is perfectly straight, and hopefully it won't leak. Alright, well, finally got the oil pan put back on, and so far it doesn't seem to really be leaking as bad as it was. It's still seeping just a little, but honestly it's not really enough to worry. But after running it, I'm still getting some good leaks underneath, and I do believe it's the rear main seal. Now from my understanding, to replace the rear main seal on this, you basically have to drop the oil pan and remove the rear main bearing cap to get the bottom half of the seal. This has got a two-piece rear main seal. So in order to get the top half, they say you actually got to loosen all the main caps and let the crank angle down to get the top seal out. Yeah, I've never done anything like that. I've put engines together on an engine stand, but you know, this is kind of uncharted territory for me. But overall basics, I mean, I know what to do, but it does require that I have to go and, you know, buy a torque wrench, stuff like that, you know, just little tools that I don't have. And I'm just kind of debating if I want to keep going on this thing. So if we take a look, might be kind of hard to see, but most of the oil is coming out through here, right on the bell housing area through here. It's mostly just dripping. Now, I don't know if you can really see, but right in there, yeah, I can't really see too well, but the oil pan is not leaking. All this drippage is from like I said, it's hard to see, but all this oil is running down through here. Now, what I was told was a rear main seal will technically only leak when the engine's not running. This won't leak when it's just sitting here, but once I run the engine, get it, you know, nice and warmed up, that's when it starts dripping pretty good. Now, as you can see, I mean, this thing is just covered all the way through. I mean, this thing is just a mess. So it's really hard to, you know, actually pinpoint what's leaking on this thing. But I'm still curious as to whether or not it is the rear main seal, and I'm really not looking forward to doing that. But really, if it needs to be done, it needs to be done, because it's still leaking quite a bit of oil. So we'll find out. So that's the situation with this damn thing. I really hate pulling stuff back off that I spent, you know, time trying to make, you know, seal up and look good, and then I gotta pull it all back off. But you know, that's how it goes. But hell, when you got something that's, you know, 50 plus years old, I mean, it's gonna leak a little bit. So yeah, that's the issue with this damn thing. I'm gonna have the owner go ahead and take this thing and pressure wash the whole underside of it, and that way I can basically start fresh and see if I can figure out what's what. I was trying to look up here, trying to see if anything might have been leaking. I wanted to check the oil sending unit down there, see if that was leaking, but that's all good. So nothing on the top side of the motor is leaking down. So it's something, you know, on the bottom side. So more likely it is that rear main seal. I was hoping to be done with this thing, but well, it's kind of pretty much like a domino effect. It just wants to keep going and going. So anyways, yeah, that's what's going on. So till the next one, that's all I got.